Probably 5 years ago, I wrote to the Department of Defense and Undersecretary of the Army and Leon Panetta, and I quoted 50 U.S. codes and then some other sections after that I can't remember, and I said, look, at the United States Code says you cannot experiment on the American public, and if you do, you got to report it to Congress within 30 days. Where's the proof that you did that? I got a couple letters back, and they said, we don't know what you're talking about. So I followed up with letters to NOAA and to the Army and Air Force and with Freedom of Information requests. They said, we don't know what you're talking about either. So I also wrote to Ross Bell at the Air Quality Management and invited him to talk to us about what he's experiencing in the skies. Why don't they report on it? He ignored my request 3 years ago, and also this week when I called him and faxed him this letter. I've always promoted the idea of just suing them because we can talk about it all we want, but we're in the process of preparing a lawsuit, strategizing.
He does not acknowledge any present Geo-Engineering. I've been videotaping it for the last 4 years, and he is a geoengineer supported by Bill Gates, and here's a couple things he has to say.
I used to work at Lawrence Livermore National Lab, and I once participated in a meeting where we all sat around the room and thought about how could we manipulate geophysical systems to use it as a weapon. The meeting was about weaponizing geophysical interventions. That means, could you somehow interfere in Earth functioning in a way that you could use it as a military weapon? Could you change climate? What could you do in terms of manipulating the sort of Earth's physical systems as a weapon? Well, some of the ideas were okay, maybe we could blow up hydrogen bombs, underwater, offshore, and make a tidal wave that would go over a city. And, the result was, well, isn't it easier just to drop the hydrogen bombs on the city? Now, you could imagine, though, say, putting pathogens in a cloud, let the cloud, go over somewhere and then would rain down on your enemy and create, do chemical or germ warfare in this kind of way. And that might work against something that I would say is big as the former Soviet Union, where you could be pretty sure that within a few days that cloud would rain out.
The atmospheric contamination, sometimes referred to as chemtrails, is known by experts elsewhere to be in the form of aerosolized aluminum particles that are sprayed high in the atmosphere by jet aircraft. Usually military aircraft or aircraft that are contracted by the military to do this spraying, and that we know that now. As they settle to Earth, these particles are suspended in the atmosphere, and the toxins are inhaled through the human lungs to settle in part of the human body, the liver, kidneys, and even the brain, if they're nanoparticles. They affect us outside while we're bicycling. They affect our kids while they're playing outside, when we're doing anything outside. A lot of people who exercise inside are doing it nowadays to avoid this problem. Since May 2011, a series of 6 rainwater samples were collected and analyzed by an EPA-approved laboratory looking for the presence of aluminum in the normal rainfall, normal precipitation. I'm here today to report that each of the 6 rainwater samples I collected contain aluminum. Here are the 6 samples. The hydrologist will tell you that there is not supposed to be 1 microgram per liter of aluminum in rainwater. Yet, every one of these is off the zero chart by a significant amount. Every single one is contaminated. Shows contamination of the air we breathe with aluminum particles. It's a neurotoxin. Alzheimer's comes to mind.
Dementia.
All of these childhood diseases that are burgeoning in our population
Lung
and
cancer.
in the media.
Brain cancer.
I can't think of a worse place for aluminum particles to be located than in the very air we breathe. Can you? Imagine knowing that every time you inhale a breath into your body, that aluminized aerosols are going into your lungs and lodging in the vital organs. I got my private pilot license in 1977. I have pictures and photograph albums. I cannot find a picture of the artificial clouds that I see in the skies today after 1995. In 2000, Dennis Kucinich called these strange jet trails in the sky by name. He called them chemtrails in House Resolution 2977, which was later named the Space Preservation Act of 2001, where the Senate took out the word chemtrails. Chemtrails as an exotic weapon. The bill did not say artificial clouds or mitigation against global warming. He said that the chemtrails are in fact weaponized, a weapon, a space weapon. What is an exotic weapon? During the Vietnam War, we saw aerosols of Agent Orange used as exotic weapons in Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, and Laos to destroy food supplies, rice crops, and tree canopies. We're being sprayed now by U.S. military aircraft. For what reason? We can only suspect. The pilots were ordered to deliberately spray civilians in 4 countries, 3 of which Congress had not funded an attack of. Agent Orange. Knowing that the result could cause death and horrible birth defects, the Pentagon continued to order the spraying over 4 countries to decimate the population, to starve them. An American Holocaust is the name of the document you need to see to wrap this up. And I'll stop now. An American Holocaust, the Vietnam War. Watch that particular
was to approve hazardous materials that came on the base. I sat at a computer and I approved those hazardous materials on base and tied them to a process and a building. So when I started approving what is called an Air Force Form 3952, the approval of hazardous materials, and I started seeing barium, aluminum oxide, and strontium come on the base from a contractor whose name was not listed, which was not normal, I started to realize that those crazy tinfoil hat-wearing conspiracy theorists might not be so crazy. I lived about less than a mile behind the flight line at Tinker Air Force Base, Oklahoma, in Oklahoma City. And due to my background as an industrial hygienist and an environmental specialist, I conducted soil grid sampling and grade sampling. Those of you who may not be too privy to chemistry, you know that there's natural elements occurring in Earth. Aluminum is one of them.
In a bonded form.
However, barium, radioactive, and strontium are not.
Especially
so I conducted
in our
those
air.
samples and saw lists in my community that would make your head spin. And I started to realize that those peers within my professional community that were trying to wake those of us in the military up were right.
Okay, here are some reactions to biological weapons, possibly in the geoengineering materials. Here we have
Streptococcus is coming up fairly high. Prions. We have prions coming up real high. And we have pneumonas at ergogensia, cowbacteria, hepatitis C virus, cholera, ethylene glycol, I believe. Is that? I'm not sure. Ethylene oxide. Mycotoxins, T2 mycotoxins. Sudan virus causes bleeding. Foot and mouth disease. Escherichia E. coli. Aflatoxin